Right now, as you're watching this, there's something controlling you. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's there, whispering in your ear, telling you what you need, what you deserve, what you must have. It promises power. It promises security. It promises that if you just hold on to it a little longer, everything will be perfect. This isn't fiction. This is your life. And J.R.R. Tolkien knew exactly what he was doing when he created the One Ring, because he wasn't just writing a fantasy story. He was writing about you, about me, about every human being who's ever lived, and the invisible chains we forge for ourselves. The One Ring isn't just a piece of jewelry in a book. It's a mirror, and if you look close enough, you'll see yourself staring back, and what you'll discover might terrify you. Let's start with something simple. What is the One Ring? On the surface, it's a golden band forged by the Dark Lord Sauron in the fires of Mount Doom, designed to control all the other rings of power. One ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. Beautiful poetry, right? But here's what Tolkien really created. He created the perfect psychological weapon, something so insidious, so clever, that it doesn't need to force you to do anything. Instead, it makes you want to do exactly what it wants. It doesn't break your will. It becomes your will. And that's where the horror begins, because the One Ring doesn't just corrupt people. It reveals who they already are. Think about the first time we really see the ring's power in The Lord of the Rings. Bilbo Baggins, the cheerful, generous hobbit who went on an adventure and came back with stories and gifts for everyone. This same Bilbo stands in Bag End and calls the ring his precious. When Gandalf suggests he should leave it behind, Bilbo's face transforms. He becomes possessive, paranoid, aggressive. Why shouldn't I keep it? He snarls. It's mine. I found it. It came to me. This is a creature who has spent 60 years with the ring, and in one moment, we see what it's done to him. But here's the key. The ring didn't create these feelings out of nothing. It amplified what was already there. Bilbo always had the capacity for possessiveness, for greed, for paranoia. We all do. The ring just turned up the volume until that's all he could hear. Now let's talk about what the ring actually does, psychologically speaking. Tolkien was a professor, a scholar of ancient languages and myths, and he understood something fundamental about human nature. We are driven by desire, not just simple wants, but deep, fundamental desires for significance, for control, for immortality. The ring promises all of this, but it delivers something else entirely. It delivers dependency. Every time someone puts on the ring, they become invisible to the world, but they also become more visible to Sauron, more connected to his will. It's a perfect trap. The more you use it to hide from your problems, the more exposed you actually become. The more you use it to feel powerful, the more powerless you make yourself. This is addiction, pure and simple. This is every substance, every behavior, every coping mechanism that promises relief but delivers enslavement. Consider Gollum, probably the most tragic figure in all of Tolkien's work. Smeagol was once a regular person, probably not a particularly good person, but not a monster either. He saw the ring at the bottom of a river, and in that moment, something in him recognized something in it. "My precious," he said, before he even knew what it was. And that one moment of recognition, that one moment of claiming ownership over something that could never truly be owned, cost him everything. 500 years of his life spent alone in the dark, talking to himself to it, until he couldn't tell the difference between Smeagol and Gollum, between himself and the thing that owned him. Tolkien shows us the end stage of obsession here, the complete dissolution of self. Gollum doesn't want the ring anymore in any rational sense. He needs it. It has become his identity. Without it, he is nothing. With it, he is also nothing, but at least he has his precious to talk to in the darkness. But the ring doesn't affect everyone the same way, and this is where Tolkien's psychological insight becomes truly brilliant. The ring amplifies who you are. If you're ambitious, it makes you more ambitious. If you're fearful, it makes you more fearful. If you're good, it corrupts that goodness into something monstrous. Look at Boromir. Here's a man who loves his people, who would die to protect his city, who is genuinely brave and honorable. The ring doesn't turn him into a villain. It takes his best qualities, his love for Gondor, his desire to protect the weak, his sense of duty, and it twists them. Imagine what you could do with this power, the ring whispers. You could save everyone. You could be the hero they need. You could prove your father wrong. The ring doesn't lie to Boromir. It tells him a truth, but a truth so distorted that it becomes worse than any lie. And in his final moments, when he tries to take the ring from Frodo, what we see isn't evil. We see desperation, the desperation of a good man who has convinced himself that the ends justify the means, that just this once, just this one compromise, will make everything better. Now let's talk about the hobbits, because this is where Tolkien makes his most radical statement about psychology and power. Why hobbits? Why does the fate of the entire world rest on the shoulders of creatures who care more about second breakfast than they do about kingdoms and wars? Because hobbits, unlike men or elves or dwarves, don't want power. They don't dream of ruling anything. They want comfort, good food, good friends, a warm fire, and a comfortable chair. The ring has nothing to offer them because they're not looking for what it's selling. But even they are not immune. Even Frodo, the ring bearer, the hero of the story, slowly succumbs. Tolkien shows us this transformation so gradually that we almost don't notice it. In the beginning, Frodo volunteers to take the ring. By the end, when he stands at the crack of doom with the ring hanging on a chain around his neck, he can't let it go. The ring is mine, he declares, and puts it on his finger. The hero fails. The good guy loses. And Tolkien did this on purpose, because he wanted to show us that no one is strong enough to resist this kind of power, not through willpower alone. So what is the ring, really? What is Tolkien trying to tell us? The ring is the psychological representation of unchecked desire, of the ego run wild, of the belief that we can control everything if we just have enough power. It's the voice in your head that says you deserve more, that you've earned the right to do whatever you want, that rules don't apply to you because you're special. The ring is every rationalization, every justification, every time you've said, just this once, or I can stop whenever I want, or I'm doing this for the right reasons. The ring is the lie. We tell ourselves that power can be used without cost, that we can touch the flame without getting burned, that we are somehow exempt from the consequences that apply to everyone else. And here's the really terrifying part. The ring seeks to return to its master. It has agency. It wants things. When Bilbo drops it in his tunnel, it arranges to be found by him. When Bilbo leaves the Shire, it tries to return to Gollum. When Frodo carries it toward Mordor, it gets heavier. It becomes harder to bear. It fights him every step of the way. Tolkien created an object that represents not just temptation, but active malevolence, something that doesn't just wait for you to make a mistake, but actively works to ensure that you will. This is addiction. This is obsession. This is every bad habit that seems to have a mind of its own, that seems to know exactly when you're weakest, exactly what buttons to push, exactly how to get you to give in one more time. But Tolkien doesn't leave us without hope. The ring is destroyed, not by power or strength or magic, but by mercy. Frodo spares Gollum's life multiple times, even though Gollum betrays him, even though it would be easier and safer to kill him. And in the end, it's Gollum who bites the ring off Frodo's finger and falls into the fire, destroying both himself and the ring. Mercy saves the world. Compassion, not power, wins the day. Tolkien, who fought in World War I, who saw the absolute worst of human nature in the trenches, who lost most of his friends to violence and death, came to this conclusion. The way to defeat evil is not through greater evil, not through using the weapons of the enemy, but through holding on to your humanity, even when it seems foolish to do so. Now let's connect this to your life, because that's the real question, isn't it? Why does this matter? Why should you care about a golden ring in a fantasy book? Because you have your own ring. Maybe it's your phone, that device you check compulsively. That gives you little hits of dopamine every time someone likes your post. That makes you feel connected while actually isolating you from real human contact. Maybe it's your job, that thing that defines you, that you sacrifice everything for, that you tell yourself you'll step back from once you reach the next level. But there's always another level, always another promotion, always another reason to give just a little more. Maybe it's a relationship, someone you can't let go of, even though they're destroying you, because the idea of being without them is more terrifying than the reality of being with them. Maybe it's money, or status, or the approval of people who will never approve of you, no matter what you do. Your ring tells you the same lies that Sauron's ring told its bearers. It tells you that it will make you safe, that it will make you powerful, that it will make you happy, that you just need a little more time with it, that you can control it, that you're different from all the others who tried and failed. And the most insidious part? Your ring is right about one thing. Letting it go will hurt. It will feel like cutting off a part of yourself. Frodo bears the scar of the ring for the rest of his life. He cannot find peace in the Shire after his journey. The wound never fully heals. Tolkien doesn't pretend that victory comes without cost. He doesn't pretend that doing the right thing will make everything perfect. He shows us that sometimes the price of winning is carrying the scars forever. But here's what else Tolkien shows us. Frodo doesn't carry the ring alone. He has Sam, who physically carries him when he can't walk anymore, who reminds him who he is when he forgets, who shares the burden even though he could never truly understand it. He has the fellowship, broken as it becomes, each member fighting their own battles against their own temptations. Boromir falls, but he also redeems himself, dying to protect Merry and Pippin. Aragorn spends the entire story refusing to use the ring, even when it would make his path easier, even when he could justify it. Gandalf won't even touch it, because he knows himself well enough to know that he would try to use it for good, and that's exactly how it would corrupt him. I would use this ring from a desire to do good, Gandalf says, but through me, it would wield a power too great and terrible to imagine. This is the wisdom Tolkien offers us. Know yourself. Know your weaknesses. Know what your ring is and how it manipulates you. And then, here's the crucial part. Don't try to defeat it alone. Don't be the hero who thinks they're strong enough to bear any burden, to resist any temptation, to need no help from anyone. That's pride. And pride is just another form of the ring's corruption. Frodo succeeds not because he's stronger than everyone else, but because he accepts help, because he builds community, because he recognizes that some burdens are too heavy for any one person to carry. The journey to Mount Doom is long and painful, and there's no shortcut. Frodo and Sam have to walk every step through Emyn through the Dead Marshes, through Ithilien, through Cirith Ungol, through Mordor itself. They have to face spiders and orcs and their own exhaustion and despair. The ring gets heavier with every mile. And Tolkien makes us feel every step of that journey, makes us understand that transformation, that real change, doesn't happen in a moment. It happens through sustained effort, through getting up every day and taking one more step, through continuing even when you can't see the end, even when you're not sure there is an end. And when Frodo finally reaches the crack of doom and fails, when he claims the ring for himself, we see Tolkien's ultimate truth about human nature. We are flawed. We are weak. We will fail, despite our best intentions, despite our courage, despite everything we do right. And that's okay, because the story doesn't end with Frodo's failure. It ends with grace, with the unexpected consequence of mercy shown earlier, with Gollum's obsession finally serving a purpose, with the ring destroyed, not through anyone's plan, but through the complex working out of choices made long before. Tolkien suggests that maybe our failures are not the end. It may be the compassion we show, the mercy we extend, the goodness we practice even when it seems pointless. Maybe all of that matters in ways we cannot predict or control. So what do you do with your ring? How do you fight something that lives inside your own head, that speaks with your own voice, that knows all your weaknesses because it is made of your weaknesses? First, you name it. You acknowledge what it is and what it's doing to you. You stop pretending that you have it under control, that you can manage it, that it's not really a problem. Frodo never pretends the ring is anything other than what it is. He knows it's evil. He knows it's destroying him. He carries it anyway because someone must, but he never lies to himself about what it costs him. Second, you find your Sam. You find the people who will walk with you into your personal Mordor, who will carry you. When you fall, who will remind you why you started this journey when you forget. You can't do this alone. No one can. The strongest warriors in Middle-earth, people like Aragorn and Gandalf and Galadriel, all of them know better than to face the ring alone. Why would you think you're stronger than they are? Third, you accept that the journey will be hard. You accept that there will be days when you can't see Mount Doom through the clouds, when you're not sure you're making any progress, when every step feels like you're walking through mud. You accept that the ring will fight you, that it will use every trick it has, that it will be hardest to resist at the moment when you're closest to being free of it. And you keep walking anyway. Fourth, you practice mercy. You practice compassion for others and for yourself. You recognize that Gollum is also you, the part of you that has been twisted by obsession, that has lost its way, that barely remembers what it was like to be whole. You don't excuse the harm that part has caused, but you also don't destroy it, because destroying it would be destroying a part of yourself, and you need all of yourself, even the broken parts, to complete this journey. And finally, you accept that some scars never heal. You accept that even when the ring is destroyed, even when you've won, there will be wounds that remain, memories that hurt, a sensitivity to that particular temptation that will last the rest of your life. Frodo can never be the same hobbit who left the Shire. The ring has changed him permanently, but he can still live, he can still love, he can still find meaning and purpose, even if that meaning looks different than he imagined it would. Tolkien spent his entire adult life writing these stories, and he wove into them everything he learned about being human. He gave us heroes who failed, villains who were once good, and the understanding that the line between the two is far thinner than we'd like to believe. He gave us the One Ring, the perfect symbol of everything that tempts us, controls us, and promises us power at the cost of our souls. And he gave us the solution, not a magic sword or a powerful spell, but mercy, community, perseverance, and the courage to walk into the dark places even when we're terrified. The One Ring is controlling your life right now. It's that thing you reach for when you're stressed, that pattern you fall into when you're scared, that voice in your head that sounds like you but isn't really you, that promise of control in a world that feels out of control. Tolkien saw it clearly because he fought in a war where millions died, where poison gas choked soldiers in trenches, where the people in power promised that just a little more violence, just a little more sacrifice would bring peace. He saw How easily good intentions become corrupted. How power always demands more power. How the ring always seeks to return to its master. But he also saw that small acts of courage matter, that mercy is not weakness, that the humble and the overlooked can change the world, that evil contains the seeds of its own destruction, if we can just hold on long enough. He saw all of this, and wrote it into a story about hobbits and wizards and a golden ring, and somehow, impossibly, he made it true. Not true in the sense that these things happened, but true in the deeper sense. True in the way that myths are true. True in the way that stories can illuminate reality better than facts ever could. The ring is on your finger right now. You've been wearing it so long that you've forgotten what it feels like not to wear it. It's become part of you, this burden, this precious thing that you love and hate in equal measure. And you have a choice to make. You can keep carrying it. Keep telling yourself that you'll deal with it tomorrow, that you're managing it fine, that it's not really affecting you that much. Or you can start walking toward your Mount Doom, toward the one place where this thing can be destroyed, even though the journey will cost you everything you thought you were. Tolkien knew which choice was right. He also knew how hard it would be to make that choice, and how many times you would stumble on the way. But he believed, and this is why his story has endured for decades and will endure for decades more. He believed that we are capable of making that choice, of taking that journey, of destroying our rings and reclaiming our lives. Not easily, not without cost, but genuinely, truly, really. The One Ring secretly controls your life. But unlike Sauron's ring, yours can be destroyed. The question is whether you have the courage to walk to the fire, whether you have the wisdom to accept help along the way, whether you have the mercy to forgive yourself when you stumble, and whether you have the faith that the journey is worth taking, even if you can't see the end from where you're standing now. Tolkien wrote a fantasy about wizards and dragons and magic rings, and somehow he wrote the truth about your life, about the invisible chains we all wear, about the journey we all must take if we want to be free. The One Ring is real. You're wearing it right now. And the only question left is, what are you going to do about it?